So yeah, I'm going to talk about Basepaste. I have two parts. I'm not sure every one of you is familiar with Basepaste. It's really, starting a project at Illumina, but we put a lot of effort into it, and that's going to be really the future for us, for sure. So that will be the first part. I'm going to go quick on that. And then the second part, I think, is what's going to interest you, and what Brian was talking about hackathon. I think I want to do one on Basepaste, in San Diego. Maybe next year we can do something like that, because the developer will be able to participate, and that's what we're looking for, people to help us through the... Brian will be there, yeah. I'm sure if it's San Diego, a lot of people are going to be there, right? Especially if I do it in winter time, right? So, quick thing about Basepaste. So basically, Basepaste is a website into the cloud. We use the Amazon cloud. We've been playing with few different clouds over the past few years, and Amazon seems to be the most mature one to do something, for a company at least. That was the sense we had. The good thing about Basepay is that anyone can use it. We don't ask people to be our customer. We don't ask them to have a machine. You just go to basepace.com, you sign up, it will take you 2 minutes, and you can log on, and you will have a few data sets coming from our machine already there for you to play around and share. At the moment, until this week, and it's changed this week, but until this week, and it's been about a year, all my SIG instrument, or smallest instrument, was able to be connected to Basepace, and everything was for free. You could put all your data there. We have about 15,000 run at the moment from MySeq into Basepace. So everything is free, and everything will stay free until the end of this year at least. And starting this week, the new iSeq 2500 can be connected to Basepace, and the next few weeks, the iSeq 2000 and 1000 will be able also to be connected to Basepace. So the interesting part for us, it's really, as our machine evolves pretty fast and produce more and more data, people constantly need to add storage and add compute node to their cluster, and it's getting kind of ugly there even for us. So the cloud solution kind of eliminates all that need, so it gives you a very nice things. Also, everything is web-based. You have nothing to install on your computer, which makes things easier. And then if you're collaborating and sharing, which most of you do, and that's really the goal when you're in academia and even in industry these days, that makes things very easy, because if all the data are in one place, sharing data with anybody, just like that happen. You don't ship hard drive. You couldn't believe the number of hard drive with FedEx over the world. And so it's super easy to send your data to Basepace, That's a screenshot from the setup of the MCS software that is on the MySeq. When you set up your instrument and you choose, the different options, when you start your run, you have one page now that is about Basepace. If you want to send your data to the cloud, you just check the box, enter your login password, and that's it. Everything happens. And it will be the same for iSeq. And so the data, people have a tendency to say, oh, with MySeq it was easy, small amount of data transferred to the cloud. You guys got it easy on that one. iSeq is going to be different. And in fact, it's not, because we are not waiting the end of our run to transfer data. We're transferring data as the run is going on your instrument. And so you don't need that much. You need a 10 megabits per second line. So that's all you need to transfer your data. And we do all our testing between an iSeq 2500 sitting in our Cambridge office in UK, and we transfer that to the Amazon cloud in California. In less than 15 minutes of the run finishing in UK, the data is in the cloud ready to analyze. Generally, it's more 2 to 3 minutes maximum. So it's really, and that's the fastest mode, so you do 120 G of data in 24 hours. That's the fastest you can do at the moment. So we work out the transfer. It's reliable that it was before. You transfer to your network and to the cloud at the same time. If something goes down, the system waits, restart automatically. And even if you're in a situation where everything falls apart around your machine, the data are saved locally, and if you don't even have space on your hard drive, the machine stops by itself in a safe state and will restart automatically. So we work out all these details. And, everything is secure as we can make it. Everything is encrypted when we transfer, when we store data. And then we pay a professional hacker company, to go in our website, try to hack our website every month. And if they find something, we just fix it, basically. That's how we make it. That's the main dashboard, the main page when you log out into Basepace. And it's a very interesting project for us, because that's the first one. We have designer, we have 3 designers embedded in that project, and their only goal is to make it look nice and make it look easy to use. So we go out, do a lot of usability testing, which we never did until, since Illumina existing. And we do have a software team of 140 people, just the software. I'm not counting Bioinformatics into it, where you add another 40 people. So it's a huge team. And they were working with that designer. I think the website looked nice, and we are improving it every time. And it's a process, but it's really going in the right direction, I think. For the people that are running a machine, and maybe some, among you, we have that software SAV that can follow the machine in real time, and we ported that also to Basepay. So directly from the cloud, you can see what's happening on your machine, and cycle by cycle, real time, and you can dive into if you see something you don't like. You can make a decision on your run. So that's really all embedded into it. We changed a little the way we wanted to think about data. So we're making a big separation between what we call a run and what we call a project. And the idea is that the run, it's really what happened on the instrument. And the biologists don't really care about that because the biologists give you sample and they want, sample in, sample out. They don't really care about, how was the flow cell? How many samples were there? What was the indexes you use when you multiplex my data with somebody else? That's not their problem. So we separate that part where the run, you do a sequencing, it becomes a run, and you have sample in that run, and automatically Basepaste is going to put this sample in a different project. You decided to give the description in a sample sheet before. And then everything happens at the project level. And then we, by lack of imagination, I guess, or because we have been compared so many times to the Apple of genomics, we use the same ideas as the App Store, basically, and that's really the same thing. So everything is going to be called an app. You have a new aligner, you have a new variant color, you have a genome browser, everything is an app. And so you take sample from a project, you run an apps on it, and you get an apps result, and every apps result can be the input of the next app. Let's say you produce a VCF file, and you want to annotate that VCF file, then you use another apps, and the VCF that was the output of your variant color becomes the input of your annotation of variant color. And so everything is going to be exactly the same ideas of that app store, and here's some mock-up of the store. We are going to show it next week at ASAG in San Francisco. There is a big meeting there, going to be a big set of announcements. We are going to go out with about 12 different apps, some that we wrote, some from different vendors. People like Ingenuity, people like Partech are coming. Some people are coming with Genome Browser, fully integrated. So that's going to be a big step for us. And so basically the idea, you are going to get all these apps. People will be able to do rating on the apps, and use them exactly the same way. So we're going to let people select by themselves what they like and what they don't like. And then you select an app, you will go to your project, select the sample, and run it. And of course, the running might be free for some apps, and we are putting some apps into Basepay. The first one from us will be a resequencing workflow where we have aligner and variant calling, but the new very, very fast aligner. We have a new aligner called Lozach that on a very standard node, let's say 12 core, 48 gig of RAM, is able to align full human genome 30x coverage in about 3 to 4 hours. And so we are going to do that, and that will run for free. But every developer will be able either to set a price for his apps and will receive 70% of whatever people pay to run these apps. Of course, the price will be based on the volume of data. If you align a MySeq data set, you will pay less than if you align a HiveSeq data set because it's not the same volume of data. And the idea there is that because you are going to pay, obviously, for the time the program is going to run on the Amazon compute node.
So did you say that Basepace takes what percentage?
We take 30%, and the user same deals on the Apple Store. And so the idea now is that with our machine, all you need basically is an internet connection. You just plug it into the wall, and then here you go. You push your data automatically. We are going to offer 1 free terabyte to everybody. And I mean, it's everybody. If you have a lab with 10 people, everybody sign up. Everybody has a free terabyte, which makes 10 terabytes for your lab, right? And then we are going to come up probably with even a better offer because Amazon came out 2 months ago with that new backup solution called Amazon Glacier. And it's very, very cheap, so you can archive things. And the only downside is that when you need these things back, it might take a few hours to get them, but the cost to archive them is nothing. So we figured out that we could archive.
It's very small.
It's very small, but it's not zero, but it's considered nothing. We might make it nothing for you. So the idea might be floating around at the moment will be you get 10 terabytes of free storage. 1 terabyte will be the online 1 terabyte, and the 9 other will be a backup. And the system will automatically backup things as you go. So then let's get to the part that might interest you more. So we have we want people to develop and to plug in, vendor, and we also want people in academia, and we want everybody, We don't want to do any selection saying, oh, you can put your tools, you cannot put your tools. We don't care. We want everybody to be able, if you think you have something to contribute, that you can help the community, that's good enough for us. Put your tools, and you will see if people use it, you will get feedback, and you might change it, improve it, and so on. So we have a developer portal. You can connect, register to it. We develop a full API. We already have SDK for Python, .NET, and Java that are ready to go. You have everything to test. We use OAuth v2 for the authentication. So every time an app starts, the user of the apps will be asked if it's okay, sharing that data set with the apps, because that's the way we wanted to do the security. And as soon as you say yes, we go on. And then in terms of writing an app, you have plenty of solutions. It could be a website, wherever you want. It would be nice to do it in Amazon because you will get free transfer from your data and very fast transfer. It could be a desktop application. It could be a mobile application. Some people, we are looking at developing something on iPad to troubleshoot and to watch over your machine too. So it might be pretty cool. And then the last solution, which is probably the most interesting and the one we want people to go for, it's really hosted into Basepace. So the way that's going to work, and what we can call that native apps, basically. So you are going to develop your application, and you can do it locally, but then at one point, you are going to decide which type of instance you want to use into Amazon, and then you are going to produce this AMI, which is basically that image of the full computer with the full software, the OS you want, anything you want there. That will be your application as a whole. And that application, you will just need to write a little interface program that will be able to get the data from Basepace, get exactly what you need, pass it to your instance, and then when you're done, writing back the results of your apps into Basepace. That's going to be very, very simple, very easy to develop. So if you already have an app ready, you put it on the EMI, and that's going to go really, really fast. You will be able to use. We are developing a full browser for Basepace, a Genome browser, very, very new. We spent the past 4 months with a design company to really try to look at all the Genome browsers that are out there. And when you try Genome browser, you're always happy about something in that one and something into that one, but we never find the right combination. So this time we try to put all this idea together and try to come up with a very innovative design there. And we work with a company that specializes in design, but not specialized in genomics at all. So there was really a challenge for them to come up with very nice idea, and for us to be open to new ideas that are very different than what existing, but I think we came up with something that is going to be interesting. You could do a user interface, all JavaScript and CSS, we keep it simple. In the future, we might want to make more interactive database, because the problem with the AMI is really, you're getting data, and you're running something, and you're getting the result out, which works for a lot of things we do in bioinformatics, but not for everything. If you want to manipulate your data real time and have cool stuff, we need more interactivity, and that's going to come. That will be the next version there.
Is your browser going to be open?
I don't know yet. That's a good question. I don't know yet. It might not be, because it will be really, to make it fast, it's going to be really embedded into Basepace. So I don't think it will make sense to necessarily open it. We go open source for other stuff like that new aligner Isaac I was mentioning. It's all open source. It's going to be released, and you can do whatever you want with it. Just a general overview of the different layers there we are going to use, and all the API is based on REST and JSON, so very, very standard, very easy to use. And the developer portal gives you the ability to test your request, to test your, everything you're doing. Somebody mentioned MongoDB. We have that mutant DB database where all the variants that we call over all the experiment, everything goes in that MongoDB database. We are going to start few databases at the same time for all genomic objects. Billing and admin also will be done automatically. You don't have to worry about that. This ISIS workflow that are mentioned there, it's all this new, basically the same concept than the MySeq system, where on MySeq, the workflow are really easy, and you select your workflow and everything happens on the instrument, and you have nothing else to buy, basically. So we wanted to get the same, easy way and seamless way to process your data for iSeq, and that's what we call this ISIS workflow. So we are going to come with new workflow. The first one is the resequencing, as I mentioned. Next one will be in January, RNA-seq with top-hat and cufflink and cuffdiff. We'll do automatically, differential expression for you. So we push all these things that they will be super easy to use. People have nothing to worry, just push button. So the biologists can really use that and get the value out of it. You see the on-site things. We know that not everybody is going to be able to use the cloud. There is, people working in diagnostic, people that are in hospital. There is always different rule about what you can do or not do with your data getting out of your network. So middle of next year, we are going to reuse the same infrastructure than Basepay that's running on Amazon. You don't need to download your BAM. You don't need to put your VCF in a special folder. You don't need to have anything. Everything comes there. So that's the first example. That one will be, we are going to make open source the modification we made. So you guys can take that as an example and say, oh, that's how they did it. And it's all in Java there. We are going to have other application in Python to show the SDK. And that's really, we want to be open. We want to have a lot of examples there. And we really want to encourage people to go for it and go wild basically and create things. And we'll be happy to host them and work with you guys. And that's all I have. Thanks.
Any questions?
Yes, sure.
Following you mentioned, and I might have missed it, but what about those, and this is a selfish question because I would be one of those users, people that would do analysis, let's say, of high-speed data, but don't want to push the button black box, so do sort of more sophisticated analysis. But at the same time, they don't have time to be developers. So for instance, I write my own scripts to analyze raw sequencing. I don't have time to develop applications for this, but at the same time, I don't want to use tools that I have no control of. So the idea, my question is, would you also allow users to have a sort of a virtual machine that resembles as much as possible their desktop or local server in terms of a command line where they can
Now the idea will not be command line, so we need to have for security reasons, we need to have that app system. But you could imagine creating your an AMI with all the tools you are using and working in that environment and really developing there and running the script you want to run there. We are going to provide a very easy way to select your data. And so that selection will be there for you, so you don't have to rewrite that part. So you can select the data, and automatically Basepaste will start your instance, copy the data you selected to your instance, and then run whatever script you want to run, and then the result will be automatically right back to your Basepaste account. But I see what you're saying. It's more opening a session and just work there, and use it real time. Yeah.
The editing of that script you mentioned, I mean, conceptually that's exactly what I'm looking for. But the editing of that script is in real time, right? And it's permanent, so it's a more dynamic.
Yeah. You really want to work. It will be more like a desktop application where you connect it to Basepaste, but we need to use that API for security for us. It's still possible, but it will require a little more work. Not development work, but some type of work.
I'm curious if you ever tried Cloud Bioinformatics?
No.
So that actually has one of the next-gen sequencing software pre-installed, and it has a remote GUI, so you can actually fire it up and have a remote GUI. But the add-on question to that is, will you make easy command line tools and GUI tools that let you pull data completely outside of Basepace?
That it's already there. The API allow you to download whatever you want. You will be able also we will have by the end of the year a downloader, uploader, where you can download batches of files automatically to your computer. The idea for broad IGV, it's interesting because we modify the program, so for the BAM file or for the VCF, is only reading what is needed for what is displayed. So you have the API is built that it can go inside a BAM for certain region and only grabs that out of the file instead of grabbing the BAM.
That's all using OAuth?
Yeah. You just get the authorization once and then it works. You get the key and then it works fine with it. Yes?
Is there any way of determining, so if we pull a VCF file, what was done to that to get it to that state? So in a lot of cases, unless we know exactly how the data was manipulated, we can't replicate the results, and we need this for papers and results.
Sure. So you will definitely get that because every data process you will get exactly the version of tool that was used and the full detail on what was the workflow that was run on it. And we will have version control. Yeah. So we'll get all the information there.
So if I understand this correctly, if I'm a native apps developer where I'm making my own AMI that does magic inside of it, and then I submit it to your app store, what sort of security process do you go through to make sure that I'm not doing anything malicious in my AMI with data that I've imported from Basepace? And the add-on question to that is, if I'm submitting a self-contained AMI that does some sort of processing as an app, Do you guys launch it under your own Amazon account, or do I somehow proxy run under my account and then get paid by you as a reimbursement?
No, so the last question is an easy one. We run it for you. We take it on our account. You have nothing else to do, and that's the way you get paid. For the first one, we are obviously going to check, what you're going with your apps. At the same time, the API is a nice way to control what's getting in and out. So to take data out of any account, if a user wants to use your app, he will need to give the authorization. He can revoke that authorization at any time, and then your apps will not be able to use this data anymore. And when I say use this data, it's a certain set of sample in a project. It's not even the full set of sample of a given project. Just what you give authorization. And write back file, that's where we need to test. And it's a new concept for us. I'm not sure how we are going to do all that testing. The biggest fear for us, it's apps that will go wild and run and never finish. So we are going to need to have some timeout at one point, saying my apps will take about 2 hours to run on that size of data, and if the apps run for 5 hours, okay, we just shut it down because there is something wrong.
The other question I have too is a lot of the stuff that we do requires.
So the thing is, we want to make sure that everybody gets pizza and they can actually ask John.
Okay, yeah, I can ask you more.
Or we can discuss after, yeah. Yes.
Do you know which parts won't make it into the on-site?
Which, you say?
Is that kind of somewhat struck down where it will be eventually running?
Yeah, no, we are working on that as we speak. We try to make the spec and see which tool we are going to use, because there is 2 or 3 different possibilities of people that are offering to port, the Amazon concept directly on a local system. So we need to do a lot of testing there and see what we can do, what we cannot. The idea will be that somehow people will need to buy some piece of hardware with the software coming out, because it will be crazy for us to try to install that type of application on wild hardware somewhere, anything that customer could come up with. So what we're going to try is to come with a piece of hardware that can host the Basepaste website and do the administration, and then try to work out with any type of cluster that will be there, because that will be pretty cool to reuse storage and compute power that you already have. So that's where we are. It's a pretty big project there. We have about 10 people thinking about it at the moment, and trying to come up with the best solution, and see where it can go. Sure.
Do we provide support for app developers?
Yes, we have few people that are dedicated to the developer, and that team is ready to grow as we get more developer. It's really, we need to get that process started. We have a lot of people that are pushing the machine, directly to the data directly to the cloud from the machine, and I think that's a very good thing. So we have the data. We need to get the developer to get the apps and the combination. So we will put any resources needed to support the developer and help people out. Yeah.
One more question, and then we're going to go.
Sure. Okay. Guys, I hope this is a short one. So the example of IGB is very interesting. So IGB is actually a client. So this version of IGB then talks to your cloud?
Yeah, so that's the first. All the developer, like Partech is going to come with an app, Ingenuity is going to come with. So these people, they already have their application, and they are either running on a desktop or running in the cloud, but they're running on their side. So they use the API directly to connect the data with Basepaste. So for somebody running in the cloud, people put their cloud in the same region, the same Amazon region than our region, and so the transfer are super fast and totally free for them. Partech has an app that run on a desktop, so the desktop connect and grab the data they need, and that's fine. It's all automatic, it's all safe there. So that's the first type of application people wanted to do, the easiest, because they already have their apps outside Basepace, and they just want to connect to the data and write back.
So this one, so then if I install IGB on my, not from Basepace, so and I'm a base kind of user as well, then does that happen automatically, or?
No, you need to install our version of IGB.
So
Yeah.
there's going to be this multiple versions of this tool.
And it's really for us, it wasn't the goal there, because I think I can tell you in advance, next week we are going to have 4 companies that come with the genome browser inside Basepace. And we are going to come with a 5th one for us that will be integrated into Basepace. So I think we have enough genome browser. IGV was really to show people how you could be really creative and use the API, not to download the BAM file and the VCF locally and then run it. That would have been super easy to do, right? But it would have been a lot of data downloaded for nothing. So it's just that idea that the API is now able to grab subset of a file. We do that for VCF, we do that for BAM. So we came up with an index VCF format that is automatically done into Basepaste. And so it's really the way it's going to work. But you will need that Basepaste apps.